Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Hey Guys Week 11 Fantasy Football Talk Show. You got JJ, you got the commish as always. Jack, the playoff picture is getting even clearer than before. We had our first eliminations this week. We won't mention who. We have our guys locked in, heading down into the final stretch of the season. We can't believe it's already here, but there's a lot to talk about.
There sure is. It was an exciting week in football, surprises all over the place, including in the Chi-Fi Fantasy Football League. So without further ado, let's get right into it.
Okay, Jack, time to sing my swan song, dude. You know, we didn't have strong chances to begin with. I'm pretty sure that I would have been eliminated from playoffs regardless of uh the outcome of this matchup.
It's true.
However, Perone really had to come out here and embarrass me. Home game, 180 points. Bro, you didn't have to do that. You didn't have to give Jonnu Smith 2 touchdowns. Ridiculous. Just Jerry Judy on a 90-yard bomb from the man himself, James Winston. Just running all over the field like I'm not even there. And what do my boys respond with? Mediocrity. Deebo Samuel with about 5 points. He's been a disappointment this year. I mean, in the position that he's in, uh, Jack, I am worthy is officially eliminated from the playoffs at 1-10. And after my first 3 years in this league, getting top three each time, I don't know what to say. I'm devastated to say the least.
Yeah, this one is it's a humbling way to go out for certain. It pains me to see that spark that has left your eye after a 10 game skid. I think that sets a record for most consecutive losses in a row, taking the cake from soup. Not the season you hoped for, so some bad luck along the way. Those ESPN analysts really led you astray this year, so I wouldn't take it all on yourself. This isn't just your fault. But if there is one silver lining, the kid himself, Drake May, I think is pretty solid at football. And if I'd
That
asked
man,
you at the beginning of the year, would you take a shit year in fantasy to guarantee that Drake May would be good at football? What would you have said? Probably yes, right?
Jack, I think I picked him up off waivers in week 5. I just had a good feeling. He wasn't even starting yet, and then I knew. Um, you're right. It's honestly, you're welcome. New England. I just laying it on
Before
the
we
line for you.
continue.
Making the sacrifices that no one's willing to make. All right. Thank you for the positive spin on that. But yeah, we Perone moves to 5-6. He is in the wild card hunt, and his team looks good at the right time. So good on him.
Yes, he sure does. Catching fire when it matters most as we come down the stretch. This next one, a little bit of the opposite. Scott pulling off a big win after maybe the worst performance this league has seen this season. A whopping 66 points from Ollie, a team that sits at 7-4. His third highest score was his defense, and they didn't even get double digits. I think this might be the lowest score we've seen all season. I know bye weeks played a factor here, but regardless, this was an embarrassing way to go down.
Yeah, Jack, bye weeks can't excuse a 66-point performance when CD Lamb is putting up about a third of your points almost.
We get two
Um,
flexes. Two flexes? That's all you can do.
Kicker and defense in the top three too. That's not
Oh,
what we're looking for. Ollie's I don't think we realized, Jack, when we were recording last week, Ollie's starting running backs this week were almost as abysmal as Nabil's. I believe we were looking at names like Ray Davis and someone else. I believe Devin Singletary is on that
oh,
team and a starter.
oh.
So just bad looks all around. This team definitely needs to address some things if they have any chance of surviving in the playoffs.
Speaking of poor performances, Evan Gander, so long, farewell. Your first season, 2-9, eliminated from postseason contention. Still has twice the amount of wins as Hudson, but an unfortunate unfortunate loss. Welcome to the league. We hope you improve from here because it surely can't get worse.
Evan, I'm beating you out for that 13th spot, man. I'm my team's coming for you. It's gonna be Panthers Giants all over again. Just you wait, and I'm gonna come out on top. But listen, Evan going in, didn't know Lamar Jackson from Jalen Hurts. Let's just put it that way. The guy was pretty clueless on football. We needed a 14 manager, and he was gracious enough to step into that role. So expansion teams are expansion teams, right? You can only hope so much from the newcomers. So he'll figure it out. Evan, thank you for participating. Yeah, you'll get them in 2025, brother. I promise.
This toilet bowl is about to go crazy. Oh man.
Jack, you're absolutely right. The toilet bowl will go crazy. But Mueller, another nice win. Justin Herbert pulling out a nice fantasy football performance, which has not been there all year. With a strong run game in LA, Herbert hasn't been the best fantasy quarterback, but if he can keep up solid numbers, then I think this team looks pretty good.
Yes, it does. And speaking of good, Nate Suit pulling out a win against me. I got some thoughts on this one. I'm unhappy to say the least. I think my team had a great week. My strength of schedule has to be the worst in this league. I am still first in points scored, even though I sit at 6-5. Uh, and also to make myself feel better in the Dynasty League, I'm also 6-5, but first in points scored in that too. I really just can't catch a break this season. And it starts with that man, Chris Boswell, a fucking kicker. I've brought this up before. I don't think kickers belong in this game. Fantasy football is no place for them. And a 19-point swing between our kickers is what does me in. It's absolutely infuriating. And not only that, but the Broncos Falcons game, you thought would be a solid game of football, right? No, it's such a blowout that Drake London and all of the Falcons starters don't even play in the fourth quarter. He finishes with 9 points, and they leave Bo Nixon just to pad some stats. This kid might be good. I'll give him his flowers. 29 points, didn't count on that. This is bullshit. Suit, it's your team's doing well, but this one's bullshit.
Jack upset with his record. Feels like he doesn't deserve it. I mean, hey man, you got to play your matchups. You got to play every week of football. I don't know what to tell you, brother. Um, yeah, Chris Boswell is feeding families right now. I believe he has more points scored on the season in fantasy football than significant players such as DJ Moore, I think Kyle Pitts, and
Yeah,
others.
he has more
So
than every tight end in the entire sport.
wait, really?
Yes.
Okay, I you might have a point about kickers, but anyway.
Get him out.
Hey man,
Seen
your
him
top
out.
two scorers this week. You're welcome. I got you. You needed some help there, and I'm glad I was able to provide it. Brees Hall was a little bit on a skid, a little bit, and then ended up having a nice bounce back game. So thank God for you.
Yeah, he did. This was a big game, even though the Jets lost.
3-8, baby. Welcome to the 3-8
Oh,
club, boys.
it's so
Nice to have
funny.
you.
They're so bad. I love it. It brings me so much joy to see Rodgers fail.
Well, Jack, you're gonna bounce back. You, as well as many other teams included on this page, are just gunning for the best seed possible. We had a huge wild card matchup here. Highway robbery, Greg Jennings. A little bit of a heater here. Close game. Highway robbery pulls it out on back of a solid 29-point Joe Burrow performance. Just this kid's having a year. I mean, incredible.
Yeah, this one was absolutely crucial. Bridge was on a heck of a winning streak and a disappointing performance here, not even cracking triple digits, but Shuby, a good win. The icing on the cake, that J.K. Dobbins touchdown run at the end of that game to ice it. That was a 9-point play, and Shuby we see here wins by 8. Sometimes it's a bad beat, sometimes it's just fantasy football. Try to tell myself that every day, but an absolutely huge win that makes the West Division even tighter. Two more teams sitting at 6-5. I feel like this whole league is 6-5 right now. Anything could happen.
We'll see it in the next slide, but no, like the how close it is ridiculous. Who knows who's going to come out on top? Um, But we do know, Jack, we had some two Titans go up. What used to be top of the East, top of the West, James and Tyler, a 3 point difference. I didn't realize how close this game was. Tyler's team, I'm gonna say it has looked vulnerable in the last couple of weeks, and he is in search of some position players, but he has had a couple of guys just hold down the fort for him. The best player in fantasy football right now, Jamar Chase, and the best tight end in fantasy football, Brock Bowers, just delivering Tyler these wins. I mean, just what pickups! Like getting Brock in probably the ninth, 10th rounds. We should have seen this coming. Everyone was saying he's the best prospect in 10 years, and turns out they're right.
Yeah, 100%. This kid is unbelievable, and he's doing it on a terrible team where he's the number one target with the bad quarterbacks. I think the sky is the limit for this kid. He is a stud, as well as Jamar Chase. A much needed win for Tyler. Built some confidence. He is one win away, I believe, from clinching the 1 seed in the playoffs, which is pretty big. You know, anything can happen in this league, but this is a good one for the confidence. They were looking a little lackluster lately, so this is a big one.
Completely agree. I'm sure Tyler's feeling very nice sitting at 9-2 because if he had lost this game, he would have been a little bit vulnerable for that top spot.
It's true. Speaking of big ones, dare I say, Let's Go Dorf is the best team in this league right now. Amon Ra, an absolute masterful performance, 39 points. The two Lions there sitting at the top, that team is fun to watch play football. And a 70 plus point win for Dorf, taking down Nabil. We knew the result of this game was going to be a win for Dorf, but we didn't know it was going to be this brutal. This guy's on fire.
Jack, this team is absolutely dangerous. I did not give this team its flowers at the beginning of the season. I dare I say, this team reminds me of the 2023, what was it, Laporte Authority. Pretty sure that team went on to win the chip. Had a huge run in the playoffs, and just I'm seeing signs of that team. Just my combination of CeeDee Lamb, Justin Jefferson, and Nico Collins, wide receiver triple threat. Let's go Dorf with his own wide receiver triple threat of Amon-Ra. I think he has Nico, and then his
He's got
third.
Nico.
He's got Nico, and then who's his third?
Yeah. Also, he's got
Oh,
Tyreek.
Tyreek Hill.
Oh,
Yeah,
some light. Some light.
obviously. So
That
yeah,
is ridiculous. Wow.
and 4 bills with Amon-Ra St. Brown, Tyreek Hill, and Nico Collins. This team is not going anywhere. This team is the best in our league, and I don't know how they're going to lose another game.
Yeah, me
Good on
neither.
them.
Yeah, I don't think it's really close.
Beautiful. Let's move on to the standings. Jack, this is ridiculous. So, as we mentioned, there are now only 12 teams left in playoff contention. Good guys and I'm worthy relegated to the losers bracket. So sorry for them. I believe our good friend Nabil will not be far behind, sitting at 4-7. His chances aren't looking too great. So it's really the West here that is just stacked. It is anyone's game. I have no idea who's going to make it out of this division, and I can't wait to watch.
Yeah, it's unbelievable looking at this. Theoretically, it won't happen, but the entire West could finish 7-7. Like it could happen. Incredibly unlikely, especially with Dorf at this pace. But that's insane. This really anybody other than those three teams there at the bottom has a shot at the playoffs. This is going to be insane to follow in these coming weeks.
I completely agree. Yeah, it's going to be a game by game scenario. People are going to start to have to worry about bye weeks. We got 6 teams on bye this week and 6 teams on bye in week 14. That's going to come into play for who's making them in. It's that level of detail.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's gonna be get out the popcorn. It's gonna be fun to watch.
Oh yeah, cannot wait. No team is clinched yet. 11 weeks in, we don't have a single clinch, and everybody's within a game or two of each other. It's unbelievable.
Dude, I was like sitting on my computer and I have this slide up and I just see this massive image of the wrist. And I was laughing at it for like 10 minutes just watching you funnel with it and move it in. That made me so happy. uh, so dumb.
It's so funny.
That's a great picture, man.
Without further ado, coming at you with this week's updated NFL rankings. An awesome week in football. We had surprises left and right, including the addition of the kid that has risked his way into all of our hearts, sitting in the dog's tier, a mascot of the NFL, if you will. But something I feel like NFL fans have been waiting for a long time. Finally, we have the authority to move the Lions to number one. Uh, I feel like we've all sort of seen it this season that the Lions have been the best team in football, but the Chiefs were undefeated, and it was kind of hard to move them from that one spot. The Chiefs go down, and a fun, exciting game from the Bills. Slide them up to two, but Detroit, they've had 3 games this season that they scored more than 50, something crazy like that. They're out here running trick plays. They're throwing touchdowns to linemen. And they're doing it all without their best defensive player, who's one of the best edge rushers in all of football. This team's insane. I know they're doing it against some bad teams, but they've done it against good teams. They've beaten everybody except Tampa Bay. Uh, they're so good, and I don't see them losing. I really don't.
Jack, I think it's their year. I mean, I'm not controversial to say that, but it felt like they really had it last year, and I feel like going to the championship last year for a lot of young players on this team, for a lot of like inexperienced in the playoffs, that was a really big like moment for them. So I think they're going to be Super Bowl favorites. I see them there. I don't think anyone in the West is going to stop them. In the NFC is going to stop them. And I had the pleasure of watching the Bills Chiefs game with my family from upstate New York, and there was a lot of yelling. Let's just put it that way. A lot of yelling on both sides of the football, but what an incredible game. Josh Allen just last play, putting the team on his back, just running through 6 defenders like it's nothing, like it's pee wee football. That was ridiculous, and so an awesome game. Bills deserve it too by far.
100%. Dare I say MVP, Josh Allen? This guy's awesome. He is electric on the football field, and he's got Buffalo in a great spot. 2 more additions to the dogs tier. We got the Eagles, who have really started to look solid lately. They took down the Commanders pretty easily this week. Saquon doing his thing. What a beast. What a great pickup for them. I still think they are limited by their head coach. I don't think he really knows what he's doing, but what do I know? This team is good. They're 8-2. They have looked the part the last 4 or 5 weeks, and I think they're back to being, contenders for sure. And something that I was reluctant to do, but I said it last week on the pod. I got to stick to my word. If the Steelers somehow figure out a way to beat the Ravens, I'd switch them and put them in the dogs tier. It happened. I can't believe it happened. Uh, the Steelers don't score a single touchdown and they still win the football game. So maybe their defense really is just that good, or it's Tomlin, or I don't know what it is. I find it hard to believe that they are where they are. 8-2. It's incredible. They're still only like 3-point favorites against the Browns this week. So clearly Vegas is with me in doubting them, but well played. Good win for Pittsburgh. They play Baltimore one more time still this season. So that one will definitely, be for the division, I would assume. So we'll see if Baltimore can bounce back.
Yeah, I agree. We talked about it last week. They're kind of an enigma. Chris Boswell, player of the game. Like I guess. They did manage to really get a couple of takeaways. An early fumble from Derrick Henry, and then a couple of turnovers later in the game. So it's always been a good defense. I think that's really the core of the team, and Russell Wilson playing good enough. Yeah, but it's like you can't see this team taking a deep postseason run. Like that's just not you really just can't envision that with this team. So yeah, it's weird. I don't know.
Moving on, the really good tier. We got the Ravens sliding down after that defeat. We got my Vikings standing pat there, sitting at 8-2. Got a big game against Chicago this week in Chicago. That would be nice to move to 9-2. Give us a shot at getting to 10 wins and hopefully making the playoffs as a wild card. Because I don't know if we're gonna catch Detroit. Doesn't look like it. And the team that we would maybe play in the first round, Cardinals, right behind them. These two teams play each other in 2 weeks, I think, maybe 3 weeks. I think it's 2 weeks. That should be a fun one. The Cardinals have looked great. They were on bye this week, but they've been great. Kyler Murray has been unbelievable, and this team has been fun to watch. And another new addition to this tier, scooting up a whole bunch, is a team that's been pretty under the radar, in my opinion, the Los Angeles Chargers. I didn't really pay attention to him all year. Everyone kind of wrote him off in the beginning of the season, like, oh, Herbert's all injured and, all his receivers suck, this and that. But Harbaugh's come in, he's done a great job. He's got this team at 7-3. Herbert has been amazing. He's unlocked guys like Quentin Johnston and Will Disley, no names and busts that, have really turned around this season, and the defense has been unbelievable. What an exciting game that was against the Bengals. It's a big win for them. Primetime win against a good team. I think they're good and they deserve to be where they are.
Yeah, I mean, turns out it runs in the family. Coach Harbaugh really just bring this team together, miles ahead of what Brandon Staley was able to do for this team, with really similar talent. So yeah, I completely agree. It's going to be a tough division. It's going to come down to the wire between the Broncos, Chargers, Chiefs. Three playoff hopeful teams. Seeing how they interdivisional matchups go, and like really didn't think that this division would be as good as it is, but it turns out, yeah, it's one of the more competitive ones we have in the NFL. So it'll be interesting to see how that shakes out.
Yeah, 100%. Never would have guessed. Nothing much changed in the middle here. Pretty good tier. New addition, the Denver Broncos, absolutely curb stomping the Falcons 38-6. I don't think any of us saw that one coming. What a win. I didn't think the offense was capable of scoring that many points, but I'll just leave it at this. Kirk Cousins is Kirk Cousins. You guys may have not realized, but as a Vikings fan, I know what it's like to have him at the helm. And you have games like this where you get blown out by a shitter because he's not that good. Anyways, in the good when the QB plays well tier, we got the Dolphins who are really looking solid with Tua back under center. It's going to take a lot for them to squeak back into the playoffs. Uphill mountain for sure. But Tua, it looks good. The offense is clicking. This team's, pretty good. Colts, Anthony Richardson back in the starting lineup this week. Cheers to him. An incredible game.
Welcome back.
It's good to see, they're putting faith in the kid again. It's way too early to write somebody off. He's played like 10 games in the NFL. But he looked great. They took down the Jets. I don't think they're a good team at all, but that's a good win. The Saints, who not necessarily their starting quarterback, but a quarterback, Taysom Hill, putting up 42 fantasy points this week. It happens every season. There's one or two games when this guy just goes crazy, and that happened this week, and they took home a win. I saw this funny tweet this week, or it might have been a TikTok, where this one fantasy league has a rule where everybody has to have Taysom Hill play them for them 1 week in the season. Where he's like a wild card that it like
Oh
rotates.
my
It's like
God.
a set order every week that each person has Taysom Hill for 1 week and has to play him, which I think is hilarious. But this week, whoever that was had quite the day.
Yeah, shout out that guy. And he's not even worth drafting because it's literally 2 weeks out of 17. And it's like, and so you got guys out there starting Taysom Hill, put him in the tight end slot next week, and he's gonna get, I don't know, 2 points. The Swiss Army knife of football, he's an enigma. No one knows what to make of him. But yeah, what a fun game to watch. Yeah, Anthony Richardson, man, I'm glad I had you on my bench. A nice 28-point performance. Nah, glad to see it out of you though. I already traded for a better quarterback in Kyler Murray, but I hope he does well. Yeah, you're right. He's got a lot of potential. He'll figure it out. And Jack, another team I'm hoping that'll figure it out is in your next tier here, the Cincinnati Bengals, man. You and I were riding so high on them with plus odds against the Chargers, and that didn't work out. Even though Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, week after week, doing their job, making it happen. And there's no more excuses. Just don't know what to say for this team.
No, I mean every week we're like, oh, this team's so good. They just get unlucky. Jamar is a top two receiver in football. T. Higgins, when he plays, is a top 15, top 10 maybe receiver in football. Joe Burrow has been a top five quarterback this season. The defense just can't get a stop to save their lives. Uh, it really comes down to that because at this point, like, what are they, 4-8 or not? 4-7, something,
4-7, I think.
7 maybe, something bad. Uh, they can't pull an important win out, and they're gonna have a really hard time making the playoffs with the AFC right now. You know, you got teams like the Broncos and the Seahawks and the 49ers and all these teams that are, ahead of them in the standings. And, you know, Bengals don't have like an easy schedule. They still got to play the Steelers and the Ravens again, I'm sure. The team has so much talent, but something's just not clicking.
Jack, you know what the nightmare scenario that they're living out is for this Bengals organization? They chose not to pay Jamar Chase, and Jamar Chase is having maybe his best year ever, and he's putting together a performance that justifies being one of the top paid position players in the league. And he is going to ask for FU money. And I don't know if they're going to be able to pay him. So sucks for those guys. They really should have paid him before he just went off and is on pace to win the Triple Crown. Like, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, this guy is nuts. He will definitely go number one in any fantasy football redrafts. Probably going to be a top two, top three pick next year. And you're right, because we saw the kind of money that Justin Jefferson got this season, this offseason, highest paid non-quarterback in NFL history. And I'm sure Jamar's going to ask for the same thing, if not more. I think he'll probably ask for more.
Yeah,
And
because he was asking for more before this season, and so now it's going to be ridiculous.
yeah, he's still on business, and good for him. He's about to be a very, very rich man. I mean, he probably already is, but you know what I mean. Anyways,
Yeah,
other teams that are definitely not back. The Falcons getting crushed by the Broncos. Embarrassing loss to say the least. And the 49ers, who Nick Bosa goes down. Seahawks take over. Geno Smith, an awesome fourth quarter from him. He was running, looking like he was prime Russell Wilson in that Steeler uniform. What a game for the Seahawks. And the Niners are on the outside looking in.
yeah, it is unfortunate to see. I mean, so much potential for this team. Are you going down with a season-ending injury? But it's not really the excuse anymore. They still have so many talents on offense.
Yeah. Juwan Jennings
Yeah, I
has
don't
been
know
off.
what Jennings. Yeah, I mean, what a kid. Yeah, I hope they figure it out. Love my boys down in the Bay. Yeah, just put them in the playoffs. They'll be scary. That's a scary team you don't want to meet. So
Yeah, no,
we'll
that is
we'll see.
a seven seed that the two seed would not be very happy to play. And moving on to the ship that has at least one fun player tier. Start them off with the New England Patriots, man. Talk to me about Drake
Let's
May.
go. All right. So I think I think the biggest concern in New England the past 2 weeks has been we're winning game like don't win games. Like we can't be winning too many games. I think that's still the attitude. But Jack, I was watching him just go up against that Los Angeles Rams defense this weekend, and yeah, this kid's got it. It feels safe to say that this kid has it. Couple of drops from his wide receivers in the first quarter that really upset me. So you get a good core around him in the next couple of years. Get some good linemen. This kid is going to be special. He's making these throws on the run that are unbelievable. He knows how to move in the pocket. You know, a respectable game. Matt Stafford and Cup and Nakua going out and doing their thing to steal the win. But listen, the Drake May dynasty starts now. I've been saying it all season, and it's coming to fruition. We're excited about this guy up here.
Oh yeah, 100%. Bright days are ahead. The thing for me, I have a rule about drafting quarterbacks from basketball schools. And the thing we see with them most often, we'll talk about one a little later, is that they always have the arm talent. They just don't have a brain and they don't know how to, they don't have any awareness. But this kid does.
Sure.
He knows where he is on the field. He knows where his receivers are. I know he
He's
made one
smart.
bad throw at the end of that game, but he's really impressed me in what I've watched so far. So kudos to him. Rounding out the bottom of this week's power rankings in the so shit it's comical tier, we got the Jaguars, who look like a college team with Mac Jones, the Cowboys, who look like the Washington Generals of football with Cooper Rush under center. Just to sum it up, Brandon Aubrey hits a 63-yard field goal. There's a penalty. They accept it, take their first down, and then get stuffed and get 0 points. You should have just taken the three, you idiots. We have the Panthers, who we knew were bad, and the New York Jets, who lose a heartbreaker at home against the Colts.
Last second touchdown to Josh Downs,
Yeah.
28-27.
Oh,
Oh, the New York Jets and New England Patriots still have the same record. And look at our future and look at their future. That's all I'm saying. Still the same old Jets. That's crazy.
yeah, their GM deserves better, who got fired this week after being one of the best drafters we've seen in football over the last, handful of years. Sure, he might have made one grave mistake bringing in the toxin that is Aaron Rodgers, but the puppet master pulled his strings and got that guy out of there. And while Nathaniel Hackett still remains on the staff. And at
Crazy.
the bottom of the barrel, just because I don't go for this, the Danny deserves better too. We have the New York Giants, who they're bad. They're not as bad as some of these other teams, but demoting. I know Danny hasn't been good. He hasn't been a good quarterback who hasn't helped them win games this season. But you committed to him, you paid him the money. He's been your guy for 5 years or so now. And to have him in the depth chart behind Tim Boyle, who might be worse than David Fink at quarterback, legitimately. That guy's
I
one of the
agree.
worst NFL players I've ever seen. He's like almost Nathan Peterman levels. Uh, Danny deserves better. That's embarrassing.
Jack, I wasn't aware he was currently the third string. That's disrespectful.
Fourth.
Fourth?
Yeah,
Oh
Tim Boyle's
no.
been listed as the emergency QB for this week's game, and Danny Dimes has been demoted to fourth string.
Wait, DeVito, who's the backup?
Drew Lock, who's actually probably
Ah,
the best quarterback on this roster.
probably. That says everything you need to know. It just seems like it's best for both parties to move on from each other after this Seattle season. It was the year to make something happen, and you didn't. You should have held on to Saquon. Should have paid him the money. Look how much of a successful season he's having in Philly, and you are stuck with the dredges. Good luck, league neighbors. It might be a long career for you as long as you stick around in New York. Jack,
Yep.
the Dallas Cowboys and the New York Giants also face off Thanksgiving Day, and my nap. I've been seeing the meme. My nap during the Cowboys Giants game is gonna go crazy.
Yeah, it's gonna be awesome.
That's what everyone
Cooper
is
Rush
thinking.
versus Tommy DeVito. Thanksgiving prime time. Nothing like it. That's football.
That's like Patriot League football, dude.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
it really is.
Wow, that was a good NFL rankings. That was the best one in a while.
It's a
Jack,
long
thank
one.
you.
Thanks for bearing with me. Appreciate it.
Oh, of course. Fans need to know what we're thinking.
It's a big week.
Everyone needs another expert in the on the internet. All right, we're bringing back an old segment. I thought we'd have some fun here. Poke a little fun at myself. The commissioner I'm a humble guy. Not really. Jack, beginning of the season, we did this with Suit and Bridge, who turned out to be two of, middle of the pack or some of our better teams in the league. And now it's a very different story heading into week 12. We're playing who will win first between my team on the left hand side and the Beals team on the right hand side. Jack, I know you'll give it to me straight. I know you'll give me your honest opinion. And I just want you to look at these two teams and, you know, we got a few more regular season matchups. Who's gonna win first?
Yeah, I am gonna give it to you straight, and I'm also gonna pretend that I'm gonna ignore that 1.7 points for Brock Wright and assume you're gonna put Schoonmaker in there. Um, Give me I am worthy. Huddy, I'm
Let's
going with
go.
you. I think pound for pound, your team is just better than what I'm seeing on the right hand side of my screen. This team on the right is, really, really awful. You got Pat Freiermuth who stinks. You got two receivers in your flex that on any given day could put up 2 points. You have a backup running back as your RB1 right now. Um, you have at least, players that have disappointed this season, but players that are starters and like are featured players in their offenses. I think Kyler Murray is the best player I'm seeing on the screen, maybe Cooper Kupp. But yeah, give me I am worthy.
Jack, I'm so happy to hear that. And I will say, if Nabil had Pacheco, I think it'd be a very different story.
Yeah,
But he doesn't.
but he doesn't.
So screw him. It sounds like he's not coming back quite yet. So yeah, it's been a season of disappointment, but I just feel like if I can hobble together a win here. I will be starting Luke Schoonmaker this week with Kincaid on a bye. Really hoping that Ferguson is sits out or Laporta potentially sits out. So if one of these two guys ends up being the starter, I'll be okay. But yeah, the Beals in a tough spot. We've been saying it for the last few weeks now. Cooper Cup is really his only bright spot. So
Yeah.
that's good to know. I at
Yeah.
least
Yeah.
yeah.
You're a movie guy. You wrote your own script when the day you traded away Garrett Wilson. I know it probably
Damn.
it wouldn't make much of a difference now looking at it. Rashad White has been awesome, so the trade, it hasn't been as bad as we wrote it out to be, but just the mindset behind that was a recipe for disaster.
You wrote your own script. What a line from JJ from the 3 point line. Dang. Come on. Look like Pritchard out there. All right. Well, I just wanted to just kind of be validated, honestly. I'm feeling a little down. So thanks, Jack. That's good to know I'm not the worst team in the league.
Well, in theory.
Uh,
In theory.
all right, that's enough out of you. Welcome to Locks of the Week. We're back. Jack, we went 1-2, and our audience might say, "Oh, but you had 4 locks last week." No, uh, the Jaguars did not cover, but Jack, you said if Mac Jones was the starting quarterback, you would be null. That would be a null bet, and
Yes.
Mac Jones happened to be the starting quarterback, so we are not counting that towards the record. We're good.
Thank you
They lost by
for getting that
40,
off the board.
which is crazy. It's insane.
Oh God, that game was so awful.
I'm glad I didn't watch it. But we're coming at you with some great ones this week. I'll take you through my top two. I'm taking Titans +8 against the Texans. Queued in some Monday Night Football, Cowboys Texans. Heard Bill Belichick on the mic give him some, you know, uh, fatherly like advice to the Texans, and he was saying they've been having offensive line troubles. Stroud's been running around a little bit more than he needs to, and I know Titans have a good defensive line, so maybe a little bit of an exploit there. I also just think a division matchup, anything can happen. So I like odds over a touchdown. I think that just gives you a lot of outcomes that are favorable. And I'm going to go with Cardinals -1 over the Seahawks. I think two solid offenses, but I think the Cardinals take the cake. And really, I just think they're going to win straight up, and -1 is such a close line. It's really not going to be a factor. So I just think they're a better team, more complete offense. So there you
Yeah,
go.
I'm with you. I think that should be a really fun game to watch in the 4 o'clock slate this weekend. I think both these teams are really good. I think they'll both hopefully make the playoffs. This is a big one for division implications. And yeah, I think the Cardinals are, I'd give them a slight edge. And I like the Titans pick too. I think the Texans have really been disappointing this season. CJ Stroud's sophomore slump is real. Yeah, kid is a great talent, but he has not had it this season. And 8 points, yeah, it's a pretty big spread. For me, I'm taking another big one here. I'm taking the Lions -7.5 against the Colts in Indianapolis. I think the combination of the hot streak that the Lions have been on the last, I don't know, 8 weeks, combined with the likelihood of Anthony Richardson having 2 good games in a row could equal yet another disastrous win for the Lions, another big blowout. So I'm taking them with the spread here. Ant, go prove me wrong. I got you starting for me in my other league after Dak Prescott went down and Kirk Cousins is on a bye this week. That team, I'm not so good in that league. So I hope he
Yeah,
does well, but yeah, we'll see. And last but not least, you know me, I hate the Packers. I'll hate them till the day I die. Give me the Niners +1.5 in a, dare I say, a must-win game for them. Going to 5-6, it's obviously not out of the picture for them to make the playoffs. There's still a lot of football left to be played. But this would be a big win for them to come on the road. Green Bay has squeaked by. They had absolutely no business winning this week against the Bears on that blocked field goal with the missed penalty. Always the Packers get every call. They always have. They've beaten the
sure, Jack.
Jaguars by 1 point on a walk-off field goal. They beat the Texans, I think, by 1 point on a walk-off field goal. They've had a lot of close wins. I think they're a solid team, but I think the Niners are better. And I think the Christian McCaffrey's going to have a huge day.
Yeah, as as suspicious as I am, I think you're right, Jack. I think it's a must-win game for the San Francisco 49ers, considering it's such a competitive division and considering just how strong that conference is in general. Yeah, it's going to be tough for them to make the playoffs with being at 5-7. Um, and I agree. Being an Anthony Richardson fantasy football manager this entire season, I'll be the first one to tell you that he might just drop off the face of the earth and get benched in the third quarter next week. We have no idea what to expect. So, and this defense, the Lions defense too, has just gotten remarkably better compared to last season, night and day from what we were seeing last year. So, I'm seeing 4 dubs up on the screen right here, Jack. I don't know where we're gonna go wrong.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
Uh,
I think we can get within striking distance of 500 after this week. I really do.
I completely agree, and we're gonna parlay these picks, Jack. 1,300 odds. That's tasty.
I like that. I like that.
I also like that.
You like that?
He still loves Kirk. He's not over him. It's like an ex-girlfriend.
I'm glad. No, this is like the toxic ex-girlfriend that I'm glad is gone. Uh, Good riddance. Good riddance. Have fun with your mediocre Falcons.
Yeah.
We're 8 and
Mac
2.
Jones feels like, hey, you got him
Uh,
there.
yeah.
Mac Jones feels like an ex-girlfriend that started getting addicted to heroin.
And got run over by a bus.
You do not miss her. We're putting it out there.
No, it's like
You do
so bad
not.
that like, you almost feel bad for her.
Yeah, it's like it's some guilt. You're like, is this my fault? Like,
Yeah, I
what do we
fucked her
do
up
to
that bad. Shit.
him? All right, Jack. Another incredible week. We're gonna have even more teams eliminated for the playoffs next week, likely, and we're probably gonna have our first managers secure their positions. So that is something to look forward to. A lot of good Week 12 matchups. So tune in. Thank you all for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Get excited for another good week of football. Jack, closing remarks.
Pleasure as always, my friend. Enjoy the football this weekend. Another awesome week. This season is sadly nearing an end. We're getting into the playoff picture. Cherish it while it's still here. That's all I'll say. See you next time.